All right, welcome to episode 1, everybody. This is Inside the Cave. Today I have with me the luxury of talking to Trevor, longtime friend, longtime member. Tell us about yourself. So give us your name, how long you've been doing CrossFit, and then what you currently do, your occupation.
Awesome, yeah. I'm Trevor. Been doing CrossFit since 2019. Been off and on with it, just kind of depending on what's going on with baseball, and that's kind of the reason why I got into CrossFit was, played baseball my whole life, and then pretty much right when I was done with baseball in college, just got right into it. It's been a long journey with CrossFit, but it's definitely something I'm glad that I've gotten into. Like, I know that there's been stretches when the coaching's got crazy, when CrossFit and fitness in general just kind of had to take a back seat. I remember in New Year's of 2021, right at the New Year, and then for about 5 months, it was pretty much just on the drive all the time, and just going from one baseball job to the next. So for like that 5-month stretch, was pretty much eating Quick Trip gas station food, driving from one job to the next, and got out of shape. But since 2019, it's been pretty consistent, other than a few stretches here or there. But that's how I kind of got into it. Honestly, one of the best decisions that I've ever made is just doing CrossFit and keeping myself active, and the main thing with it is just pushing myself. And then currently I work for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Awesome.
I never took any time off from baseball. As soon as I was done playing, just got right into coaching. Started off in travel baseball in Waukesha. Spent times at Madison College in Madison, Wisconsin, the junior college there. Lived in Missouri for 2 years, in Springfield, Missouri, and got to go to Missouri State, which was an amazing experience, and then spent a little time in the Northwoods League as well as a hitting coach and managing. And then, this is my second year with the Toronto Blue Jays. Very fortunate to get sent right to AAA. Been the assistant hitting coach there the last 2 years. And being on the AAA staff, got to go to big league camp the last 2 years, and was awesome getting to spend time around, guys like, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer, Bo Bichette, and all the coaches there, and get to, be around them in the springtime, and then get guys on rehab assignments, or, getting options, spend time with them throughout the year, and then see them go on a World Series run and push it all the way to Game 7. So, very fortunate that I get to live out a childhood dream and be in professional baseball. It's something I'm really grateful for every single day. Even though I have a job that I love and all that, I definitely make sure to start the day every single day with a CrossFit Woolly Mammoth workout, and sets the tone for the day.
Absolutely. So obviously a little backstory, everybody who is watching and listening and tuning in today. We're going to kind of get the feel for how CrossFit overall impacts your life. And I think the first question off of everything that you just kind of went through and discussed with us is, how has CrossFit itself impacted your life outside of the gym? So obviously you get to see from the perspective of the minor leagues, being able to watch the rehab process and getting the guys back to the ultimate goal of being on the big club. But outside of that, and with CrossFit itself, how has it impacted your life?
Yeah, as I mentioned, what I do now, it's an absolute dream job. I love what I get to do, but that doesn't mean that the job's easy. Most of the job, it's tough, right? Spending time with guys in the cage, trying to figure out what makes them move the best. When they get sped up in the game, what's the way that they want to move. So trying to figure all that gets tough. Figuring out how the opposing pitcher is going to attack us, that's really tough, diligent work that you have to go through. So, there's a bunch of different layers. I feel every single day, I might have 15 different jobs. Maybe one is being a psychologist, one's being a biomechanics guy, one's geometry, and the list goes on and on as being a hitting coach in baseball. Like, to me, like, obviously I'm a little bit biased, but I think being a hitting coach is like the toughest job in professional baseball. And where CrossFit comes into that is, starting my day with a workout and pushing myself just really sets the tone. I remember last year, like, being in the hitter advance meetings. Like, I was stepping in the room with, we had George Springer, Alejandro Kirk on rehab assignments. We had Addison Barger, who started the year with us. And my first year being in professional baseball and having to step in the room with those guys, and there's guys who, are moments away from, getting their call that their childhood dream gets to be fulfilled. And, if I go into the room and I lack confidence or I lack the correct information, like, I feel like that is, just a situation that can set me back a little bit. So, like, there have been days where, like, the schedule gets tough, and I can probably count it on one hand where I, like, wasn't able to get a workout in and start my day pushing myself. But waking up every single day, pushing yourself, doing something that you don't have to do, but doing it anyways, definitely puts you in the best mindset. And, I hate that feeling of, walking into a hitter's meeting, walking into the cage and not having prepared myself the right way. Like, I feel like almost I'm letting the guys down. So, there's not a whole lot of my life, outside of baseball and CrossFit right now, which is totally fine with me. But, yeah, it's just more so than anything, it's pushing myself and putting myself in the right mindset.
So mindset obviously is your day-to-day, that's the lifestyle that you need to live by. Is there anything specifically with fitness in your day-to-day basis because of you throwing and being around the ballpark so much that you have to tailor differently with your workouts?
Yeah, for sure. I throw a ton of BP. And, BP is something that I've taken a lot of pride in since I first started coaching. I feel like I have pretty good BP, so definitely need to make sure that I'm not pushing anything that's going to, like, expose my, like, shoulders or elbows. So
scaling it back accordingly.
Yeah, scaling it back accordingly is something that I've definitely transitioned to into the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So, like, I've kind of gone away from like bar muscle ups or like anything that's heavy overhead. Like, I do think that, like, going overhead with, like, any kind of press is good, but maybe like Olympic lifting, I've scaled that back when it goes overhead with like a snatch or anything.
So you're still doing the movement patterns and going through the functional movements, but you're just not necessarily going crazy heavy, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I think, that's one thing I'm definitely very glad that, I've, like, put the ego aside and that aspect, and just definitely in the last year or two thought more about, like, the long term of, like, if I'm going to have this job for, like, the next 25, 30 years as I want, like, what's going to be able to sustain that. And no, I definitely think, like, my arm has not bugged me one day, knock on wood, for the last 2 years. And I think, like, a big part of that is, like, always keeping it moving and, like, keeping movements functional. Like, I absolutely think that has helped. But yeah, it's definitely being smart when it comes to heavy weights overhead.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And that kind of leads us into the next question that I have. Success, right? So you talked about mindset and doing something hard in the morning. Does fitness, what does it mean now? And comparatively to when you first started, we can even go from the fact of before you got to the big leagues, just your coaching career. How is fitness kind of compared from then and now? You talked about it a little bit where, there's days where you can't get it. Do you have days where you just go in and try to get 15 minutes of something, or mobility or anything like that, because you have a very demanding job? What does that, look like? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Like, I think going back to kind of the start of it, it was just something like, well, I've always been active. I've always, been an athlete, so I'll just, like, continue to keep it going. And, luckily, like, when I was still playing baseball, I kind of, like, on social media, whatever, would see videos about CrossFit. The CrossFit games were in Wisconsin, so that kind of drew my attention. And then, luckily, just kind of got
shout out
into
HQ. We need to get the games back to Wisconsin.
Get them back to Madison. But yeah, no, that's kind of how it started. And then, like, I think as of late, it's just been, and I won't even like speak for myself here, but during like spring training, when like the whole organization's together, like one thing I've definitely noted, and everybody is phenomenal and great with the Blue Jays. It's an amazing organization with amazing people, but the coaches that I've like really looked up to, you know, in my 2 years with the Blue Jays, like they're always there, like in the weight room, like pushing themselves in the morning, or at least some point throughout the day, and they have like a scheduled routine that like allows them to, you know, as you said, like even if it's like 15 minutes like throughout the day, and it might not even necessarily be like a physical thing, it might be just like a mindset thing. It's something that they take upon themselves just to like, for like, seriously, it could be like 15 minutes just to take it to themselves. And like the thing that I've noticed is like the people that do that, like they become just better people. They're more motivated. They a lot of aspects in their life just change when they're able to, you know, disassociate from the job for a little bit and then just do something for themselves.
Yeah, it's amazing. Touched on a lot of good points, and I really think it's kind of crazy that you are, you know, still following our community's program, and you're still on the leaderboard and all the aspects behind that, even with you being out of state. So, touching from the standpoint of being more of an online, you know, participant right now, does that change how you look at, we'll say, the competitiveness inside our gym, right? So if you haven't been to our facility, we have a wide group of individuals that are, you know, they're here to get their sweat on, or they're trying to push themselves to, you know, beat your friend to the left or to the right of you. When you're not around anybody, does that change at all, or is it just still pretty go-getter, try to get to the top of the board?
Yeah, like I think, like in CrossFit, like the main thing, like, and I think this is like a point even just for life, but like I never, you know, joined the CrossFit gym just to like be at the top of the leaderboard for a specific gym. I think it's more so about just competing with yourself. And, you know, when I've mentioned like you gotta, you know, challenge yourself every single day, I think like if you can hit a point in the workout where like you want to quit but you keep going, I think like that's the biggest win. But no, I think like for sure, like it does get a little bit lonely, like working out by yourself. So like when I do hit those moments in Buffalo or in spring training in Florida, when I am doing the workout by myself, and you can tell that before the workout starts, it's going to be a tough one, and it would be easier like doing it in
with
the
a
gym
group, yep,
with everybody. You know, I might check the leaderboard and kind of like see what everybody's times are at.
So you can gauge on how hard you're gonna go. Yeah, that's
absolutely
awesome. And I think that leads us into our last little question here. For those that haven't done CrossFit or have done CrossFit before, but they're not a member here, what would you give them as an inspirational kind of thought to give CrossFit Woolly Mammoth a try, or just CrossFit in particular?
Yeah,
obviously mindset is a big one. Challenging yourself is another thing. What
like
could you?
Like just everything in my life has just gotten way better since I've done CrossFit. Like I mentioned, like that one like 5 to 6 month stretch where you know, I was just kind of at the mercy of having 3 jobs. Like I couldn't really call one particular gym a home. Mm-hmm. I remember just in that stretch, like lacked energy, you know, was eating bad, had to rely on like a bunch of energy drinks to get any amount of energy that I wanted. But then, you know, CrossFit, like it really, it like boosts your energy. It just like makes you feel like a better person. Like it's really tough to, you know, put it into one word, but like I've only seen positives, you know, come out of my life from it. Like I get structure from it. I get, you know, friends in a community from it. And then kind of like the thing that keeps me going back still is like I get that competitive outlet, and I get to push myself every day. And there hasn't been, I think, one workout that I've ever completed and I feel worse about myself, or I feel worse about the day ahead. So that's kind of what CrossFit has done for me.
So would you say that CrossFit actually gives you the best hour of your day?
It's up there, yeah. I mean, I love cage time. I love talking in the office with the coaches after the game. But, yeah, CrossFit's way up there.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming in. It's been nice having you back for a couple of days, and good luck with the rest of your season. And tune in next week for another episode of Inside the Cave. Again, this is Trevor Cho, the big league coach amongst our tight-knit community here at Mammoth.
Yep, awesome.
We'll see you next time.